Hey everybody, I hope everybody is doing fine. And this is your narrator, Adnan, again. And without wasting any time, I'm going to straight away start the story. The moment Nolan Pierce typed, no problem, his marriage ended. Not with shouting, not with slammed doors, but with a calm that felt colder than anger.
Camille's text sat on the screen like it always did. Staying at a friend's place tonight. Need space. Nolan stared at it while the kitchen clock ticked too loud. The house smelled like burned coffee and old arguments. For years, that message had been a threat, a way to pull him back into line, a way to make him beg. His fingers hovered over the phone. This time, he didn't beg. No problem. Drive safe. He placed the phone face down, and something inside him finally went quiet. They had met 12 years ago at a small beach bar, the kind where the music was too loud and the lights were too soft. Camille laughed easily back then. She used to touch his arm when she talked, like she was always afraid he might disappear. There were nights when they stayed up until sunrise, wrapped in thin sheets, whispering plans that felt bigger than the world. She once told him, "When you're calm, it makes me feel safe." Nolan had built his life around that sentence. But safety slowly becomes control. Arguments always ended the same way. Camille would grab her keys, say she couldn't breathe in this house, and leave him staring at the door. She knew the silence scared him. She knew he'd call, apologize, fold. Tonight, the silence felt different. Nolan stood up, steady, and opened the drawer under the counter. Passports, birth certificates, property papers. He stacked them neatly, his hands still in shake. At midnight, Nolan sat at his laptop. He changed passwords, banking, email, cloud storage, not out of spite, out of clarity. He remembered every time Camille said, "You'd be nothing without me." Every joke that cut just deep enough to bleed. Every apology that somehow ended with him saying sorry. A strange calm filled the room. He emailed a lawyer, short, clear. "I need to discuss legal separation." He contacted the property manager about listing the rental unit they owned together as soon as possible. Each click felt like stepping out of a fog. Camille didn't expect silence. At her friend's place, she checked her phone again and again. No missed calls, no long messages, no pleading. She told herself Nolan was sulking. Still, something crawled under her skin. Back at the house, Nolan packed only what mattered: clothes, books he loved, and the old watch his father gave him. He left the wedding photos on the wall, not out of weakness, out of closure. In the bedroom, he paused. The bed still held the shape of two people who once believed love could fix anything. He remembered the way Camille used to trace circles on his chest when she couldn't sleep. There had been real love. That's what made this hurt clean instead of messy. At 3:14 a.m., Nolan transferred the utilities, electric, water, internet, everything in his name, moved. He wrote one final letter, not angry, not cruel. "Camille, I needed peace more than explanations. This is not punishment, it's self respect. Please don't come looking for me." He folded it once, set it on the kitchen table. Camelia drove home at dawn. Her chest felt tight for no clear reason. The driveway was empty. Inside, the air felt wrong, too quiet, too hollow. The couch was bare on one side, closet doors open, drawers half empty. Her breath caught. On the table, papers, legal separation notice, utility transfers confirmations, the letter. Her hands trembled as she read. This wasn't a fight. This was an ending, and for the first time, the panic wasn't about being caught, it was about losing control. Miles away, Nolan stood by a window in a small rented room, watching the sunrise. The light felt softer here, honest. He didn't feel free yet, but he felt awake. Sometimes the bravest thing you can say isn't I love you. It's I'm done breaking myself to be chosen. Silence had weight. It followed Camille through the house like a stranger who knew all her secrets. The walls didn't echo anymore. The fridge didn't hum the same way. Even the door felt colder under her feet. Nolan was gone. Not stormed out, not dramatic, just erased. Camille sat on the edge of the bed and stared at the empty half. She told herself this was a move, a message. He'd come back once she pushed hard enough. But deep down, she felt it. This was not anger anymore. This was planning. Nolan spent the day moving like someone who had rehearsed this moment for years. He met the lawyer in a quiet office with soft gray walls. The words legal separation sounded unreal when spoken out loud. Still, he didn't hesitate. He signed where told. Every signature felt like cutting a thread that had been choking him slowly. On the walk back, memories came uninvited. Camille laughing in the rain, her hand in his pocket during movies, the night she whispered, "Promise you won't leave." He had promised, but promises made under fear don't survive clarity. That evening, Nolan sat alone in his new place. It wasn't much, a table, a chair, a mattress on the floor, but the air was his. He cooked pasta badly and laughed out loud for the first time in months. No one corrected him, no one sighed. Freedom didn't feel loud, it felt quiet. Camille started calling once, then 5 times, then silence again. She texted, "We need to talk." Then, "You're being dramatic." Then finally, "I didn't think you'd actually leave." That one hurt the most. Nolan read it, didn't reply. Not because he didn't care, because he finally did. Camille showed up unannounced 2 days later. She stood outside the small building, heels sinking into gravel, heart racing. This was not how things worked. Nolan was supposed to fold, to explain, to apologize. She knocked. No answer. She knocked again. The door opened slowly. Nolan stood there, calm, distant, unfamiliar. For a moment, they just stared. "You really did it?" she said, forcing a laugh that broke halfway. "You really left?" "I didn't leave," Nolan replied quietly. "I arrived." The words landed harder than shouting ever could. Inside, the space was bare. No photos, no shared memories, no place for her to sit. She walked closer. "You're throwing everything away." "Us." Nolan shook his head. "No." I stopped bleeding quietly. Her eyes filled. "I never thought you'd choose yourself." He met her gaze. Neither did I. They talked for hours, not arguing, unpacking. Camille admitted she liked control because it kept her safe. Nolan admitted he stayed because he was afraid to be alone. There was love there, still warm, still real. That's what made it tragic. She reached for his hand. He let her hold it, then gently pulled away. Some doors close even when love remains. That night, Nolan dreamed of the beginning. The beach bar, the music, Camille dancing without fear. He woke up with tears on his pillow and peace in his chest. Healing hurt, but staying hurt more. Camille returned to the empty house later that week. She sat on the floor and cried until her chest burned, not because Nolan left, because she finally saw how much she had taken. She had loved him, but she had also owned him, and love should never feel like ownership. They met one last time weeks later to finalize paperwork. No anger, no blame, just two people who grew in different directions. As they stood to leave, Camille whispered, "I hope you find someone who chooses you without fear." Nolan smiled softly. "I already did." She didn't understand it at first. Then she did. Months later, Nolan stood by the ocean again. Same place, different man. The wind hit his face, and he breathed deeply, fully, without asking permission. He was not bitter, he was not broken. He was just free, not because someone loved him, but because he finally loved himself enough to walk away. Sometimes the most powerful goodbye is not loud. It's the moment you stop abandoning yourself. If this story touched your heart, please consider subscribing. Thank you so much.